Europeans have never known how to count. Let's stop pretending the West gave us numbers. They gave us bureaucracy, interest rates, and accounting fraud. But the numbers, the symbols, the place value systems, the zero, all of that came from Africa, Asia, and the Islamic world. Europeans didn't invent math. They inherited it mid-conversation, mistranslated it, and slapped their name onto the footnotes. Europe never invented a number system. Roman numerals were a functional disaster. The numeral system Europe used for over 1,000 years had no place value, no zero, and no efficient way to do multiplication. Want to write 1,949? That's MCMXLIX. Try doing math with that. You couldn't even balance a budget without an abacus or a scribe trained in pre-Arabic computational methods. The empire that built aqueducts couldn't divide fractions. The numbers we use are Hindu-Arabic. Period. They came from India, fully formed. What we call Arabic numerals were developed in India between the 1st and 6th centuries CE. Mathematicians like Aryabhata and Brahmagupta formalized place value, decimal systems, and zero as a number, not a placeholder. These concepts were then translated into Arabic during the Islamic Golden Age, not created by Europe. The West didn't discover numbers. They plagiarized them via Baghdad. Al-Khwarizmi brought math to Europe, and they barely understood it. In the 9th century, Persian mathematician Muhammad ibn al-Khwarizmi wrote Al-Kitab, Al-Muqtasar fi Hisab, Al-Jabr wal-Muqwa Bala, the foundational text on algebra. The word algebra from Al-Jabr, one of his chapters. Algorithm, from his name. His texts were translated into Latin in the 12th century, and Europeans promptly butchered them, simplified the notation, and Latinized the theorems. What they couldn't invent, they rebranded. Europe fought numbers before it understood them. The Catholic Church literally banned zero. Zero was declared suspicious, heretical, and infidel arithmetic by many European institutions because of its Islamic and Indian origins. In 1299, Florence banned the use of Arabic numerals in accounting because they were too efficient and easily forged. For centuries, ciphering, or math with Arabic numbers, was seen as black magic. That's where we get the word cipher. Imagine banning zero because you're scared of it. In Spain, the Islamic libraries of Al-Andalus, for example, Cordoba and Toledo, contained texts on trigonometry, astronomy, algebra, and measurement centuries ahead of Europe. Europeans learned math not through invention, but through conquest and translation of libraries they didn't know how to read. The Toledo School of Translators in the 12th century was basically a bootleg tutor center for Latin-speaking monks, copying what North African and Arab scholars already knew. They didn't do math. They copied homework off a civilization they demonized. Other civilizations were running circles around Europe. Literally. The Ishango bone in the Congo around 20,000 years ago contains what may be the earliest prime number table. In Mali at Timbuktu, scholars in the 14th century were doing astronomical calculations and geometric analysis, while most of Europe was still burning books and women. Mathematical tools were embedded in architecture, calendars, divination systems, and trade, not separated into elite institutions. The Maya had a base 20 positional system with zero. By the 4th century CE, the Maya were using a fully developed vigesimal or base 20 system with explicit zero placeholders. They used it for astronomy, calendrics, and architecture. Thousands of years ahead of European science, they had zero. Europe had superstition. European math is built on theft and renaming. Descartes, Pascal, Newton, all standing on erased foundations. Descartes is credited with coordinate geometry, but the idea of plotting equations was used in Islamic math texts centuries earlier. Newton's calculus, built simultaneously with, and possibly stolen from, Gottfried Leibniz, who built his on earlier Arabic treatises on infinite series. Fibonacci, just a white guy who went to North Africa, learned Arabic math, came back and wrote a book about it in 1202. They named the number sequence after him, even though it had been used in India for centuries. European math isn't original. It's the mathematical equivalent of renaming stolen spices. Europeans have never known how to count. Before Europe, India, Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Mesoamerica had complete mathematical systems, including zero, place value, geometry, and timekeeping. Asian, African, and indigenous cultures used math for navigation, astronomy, economy, and architecture. Math was practical, spiritual, and integrated. After Europe, they banned zero. They thought decimals were suspicious. They couldn't divide without an abacus until the 1600s. They named every stolen concept after themselves. So next time someone tells you Europe gave us numbers, ask them this: if Europeans were so mathematically advanced, why did they spend 1,000 years refusing to use zero? Because they didn't know what nothing meant. Cope.